Hello Drive Radio fans, Richard Rush here today with my dad, John Rush, behind the camera. And this is the review of the 2016 Chevrolet Volt. For those of you that are Volt fans and for those of you that have just maybe seen a Volt driving around, as you can see, completely redesigned for 2016. They've made a lot of new changes and improvements from the previous model years to this. Again, this is their first full redesign, you could say, and a lot of people are actually calling it very much a new and improved vehicle. And I will clarify here moving forward, there's a lot of misnomers out there that this is a hybrid vehicle. In fact, it's not. It's a plug-in electric vehicle that uses a gas engine / generator to power the electric motor, which we'll talk about more in the drive. So it's a little bit different of a vehicle than what you'll find out there, and some people will say compare it to hybrids. It's not. They're two completely different vehicles. So what's new for 2016? A lot of new styling. We'll walk around it here in just a second so you can see the front grille, which is really the styling portions of it, and actually the entire car has been redesigned and revamped. They've added a 5th passenger seat to it, albeit a small 5th passenger. You can get 5 passengers in the 2016 Chevrolet Volt. They've updated the hybrid drive system, and I'm going to clarify that, just saying they've updated the system and how it works, from the electric motors, the twin electric motors, to the gas engine, and I'm calling that the hybrid drive system. But again, it's not an actual hybrid. They've also added a new infotainment system, again, for the 2016 Chevrolet Volt. So with that, let's take a quick walk around the car. We'll talk about a few of the extra features as we move right along. I'm a personal fan of this. We'll get more into the opinion section. I like the look of it. It's a nice, sleek looking vehicle. They've added a lot of different driver safety features to this vehicle, including lane departure warning, lane keep assist, rear cross traffic assist, a lot of different things. Real quick, Dad, we normally don't do this, but you'll see the charging port here on the side. Just push in, open it up. That's what it looks like for those of you that are familiar. On the 2017 models, they've changed this a little bit, added some cool lights, that sort of thing. Again, you can see the Volt, and I'll step out as we can kind of go along. This is available in 2 trim packages, the LT and the Premier. I'm not going to bore you with all the different details of which trim package, what they include. The 17-inch wheels, you can actually get upgraded wheels and that sort of thing. This is the Premier package, which I guess, what does that give you that's different from the LT? Just to name a few: an auto-dimming rearview mirror and heated rear outboard seats. I really like what they've done here with the Volt logo. I love they've kind of put the lightning bolt electricity through there. They've given this car a very sleek and contemporary look. In fact, I think this is one of the better looking electric vehicles that are out on the road. There's a lot of competition that you can drive down the road and you can see it and you're like, wow, that really does look like an electric vehicle. We've gotten multiple comments that this Volt, the 2016 Volt, doesn't look like an electric vehicle, and when you get out and drive it, you can actually see it doesn't even feel like an electric vehicle all the time, which is a great thing, because for those of you that are familiar with that, it becomes a problem over time, or it can be rather annoying if you hear that droning and that sort of thing. So with that, we're actually going to push the drive to the end where we normally go on a drive. We're going to stop the camera, we're going to come back, show you the trunk portion, show you the back seat, show you the front seat, kind of talk about some of the technology, then we'll take a drive, and at the end of that, we'll give you our opinion of the 2016 Chevrolet Volt. All right, fans, we're here for the trunk portion, the inside. We're going to show you what's underneath the back hood, I guess you can say. 10.6 cubic feet of cargo room, which is really middle of the pack, but actually my dad was commenting here in the break about how much he was able to get in. He went to Home Depot this past weekend, got a full-size dolly and one of those large trash cans inside here, which some of you are going to say, wow, that's a lot of room, and yeah, it truly is. And just to prove it to you, we'll show you again. Lifts all the way up, not an automatic hatch. You do kind of have this privacy screen because you have that full glass available right there, but all you have to do is just unhook it. We'll leave it hooked up for right now, but you could fit this down. You can, I believe you can set those side, or the second row seats down. As you can see, it's about 60-40 split, so if you put those down, you can get a lot more cargo in here. And real quick, we actually did stop stop the video to show you with this left driver's side seat down, so you can see it lays nearly flat. Obviously doesn't take the seat all the way down with it, but really is some nice, very nice handy feature right there. This is where you actually store the 120 volt charger. So you actually just spin right here, lay it there. It fits in nicely right here. It's a very long cord, which is really, really nice. You don't have to be right next to your outlet, whether it be at work or at home. And we'll talk more about the charging times when we get into the driving portion of it. Don't want to bore you with all that as of right now, but really great room in our opinion for this segment, for this class. And we'll actually, excuse me, close this and come around to the side and kind of show you the room. So you'll see, I'll actually move the snow brush over here. You'll see again the fifth seat is really not a full seat for a full-size individual. You can see they would have to kind of share the cargo space with someone in the the people in the outboard seats. So, but we'll kind of hop in here right here. You'll notice that this is actually a little bit further back than our driver's seat over there, which again, I will make a note, the front seats are not power adjustable. Neither of them are. So, gonna slide into here. This is set for about a 6'4" person, and you're right back here in the back. One thing I will note, decent leg room. However, the headroom, you'll kind of come and see, and I'm not sure if you can get this, Dad. I'm actually kind of having to crouch down here. There's not a whole lot of leg room in here for a full size. Again, I'm 5'9", 5'10". Very hard to fit in here. Actually, I can kind of lean my head a little bit back and be kind of towards the glass segment. So something to keep in mind. You do have heated seats right here in the back, which I think, and we'll show you just one more time. You have the power outlet right here with the cup holder, that ability. And again, if you put this seat up right here, you've got a nice little armrest if you don't need a fifth person here in the middle, which is a very, very nice, handy feature. So with that, we'll hop in the front seat. All right, fans, we're here for the front seat portion of the 2016 Chevrolet Volt. Just going to talk about a few of the features before we go on the driving portion. As you can see, nice two-tone interior. The brown and the black really is fantastic. Very, very nice, in our opinion. A lot of it is a plasticky feel. It is plastic throughout, which some people have commented on. In my opinion, for the cost of this car, which we'll talk about in the driving segment, very, very honestly amenable and for this segment, not too much of a big deal. Very comfortable seats, in my opinion, here in the front. You do have heated seats here in the front, again, as well as the back, as we mentioned. Don't have dual zone climate control, just a single zone, but for a cabin that's this small, you don't really need the dual zone climate control or even climate control for the back seats. A lot of physical knobs and buttons, which Chevrolet has added for this year. The new infotainment system, which we'll show you during the driving portion. Very cool shift knob here, kind of has a blue electric-y type of a feel to it. You've got two USB ports down here along with an auxiliary port, another power port right there. So you have the ability of, again, you do have CarPlay, Android Auto on this. The center console right here, this is actually a wireless charging capability. This car does have wireless charging capability in it. Not a terribly deep glove box, but you can put cargo in there very easily. So with that being said, well, actually a lot of this is easier to show you during the driving portion, so we're going to kind of get set up for that. We'll come back and we'll give you our opinion of the 2016 Chevrolet Volt. All right, fans, we're here for the driving portion, and we're going to kind of show you some of the interior features. It's a little bit easier with someone in the back seat. So we mentioned before the physical knobs that they've added. One thing I am going to do really quick is show you what the startup sequence, which we really think is kind of cool, and it will actually be quiet during it. Makes a cool kind of spaceship type of a noise. So you can see it's kind of like the engage sort of a thing for a spaceship. Really cool, kind of subtle feature. We're definitely a fan of it, in our opinion. Chevrolet, good job. So you'll notice a bigger 8-inch infotainment system for those of you that are familiar with General Motors and how they've done it, whether you're in a Chevrolet or a GMC. Very similar setup. We won't go through that. I will kind of point out the vents. All of this is done in a very sleek manner, done in a very, again, futuristic kind of modern type of a way, which I'm really a fan of. I will show you one thing, though, and that is the eco thing, the eco kind of tab, which is new and different than most of the cars and vehicles that are out there for Chevrolet, obviously. So you can see kind of where your battery's at for power. You can see the electric motor. You can see the gas engine, the flow when we start going. You can also go into charging and get a lot of different pieces of information. It can tell you if you're going to charge, if you were to plug in right now, when is it going to be completely charged based on your current state. If you plugged into a station, when is it going to completely charge? We'll talk about that in just 1 second. Charge limits, which you can change. It gives you a lot of different warnings, basically telling you that if you up the charge limit, it can stress a household, basically can stress the outlet a little bit too much, can cause a lot of different issues if necessary. So you can change it to 12 amps versus 8 amps. You can actually plug this in, and for those of you that have peak charging rate, you have the ability of actually telling it when you want it to charge. So if you get home at 5 o'clock at night, the rates go down at midnight, and you don't want the car starting to charge till midnight, you can tell it to do that all from here, which is a great feature. You go over here to info, and this is going to tell you a lot about your miles per gallon used, how many gallons you've used, what your lifetime average is, how many kilowatts you've used up here. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep my hands out of it. Again, this is the driving. This is basically telling you how much energy, where the energy is going. You can tell the climate's using about 5%, the driving 73%, and there's still, again, some that can be used within the battery itself. I'm going to pull out a few pieces of facts real quick. I'm going to set the keys here. One thing we're going to note, has two twin electric motors, 149 horsepower between the two. When the battery does run out, you have a 1.5 liter gas engine / generator. I'm going to be very particular in saying that will be used 95 to 99% of the time as a generator. The only time it will not is if you need that extra oomph to pass someone, or maybe you're climbing up a hill. The gas engine will actually kick in and start up at that point in time and help you pass. But then it will go back to just powering the twin electric motors. There's also a very cool feature we'll talk about, which is they call it regen on demand, which is a nice feature over here. So when we're going down the hill, we'll show you that. The last thing that I want to talk about real quick is fuel economy as we get going. And not only that, but the charging. There's two options available: 240 volt charging capability, as well as 120 volt. The 240 volts going to be a little extra cost to you at the startup, and depending on where your area, that will range. So we're not even going to send out a number. That will charge your vehicle in 4.5 hours. The 120 volt will actually charge your vehicle, and I believe it's about 13 hours. So something to note, if you don't want to pay the extra money, you're just going to have to charge overnight in order to get that full charge. But with that being said, we'll actually kind of pause the video real quick and we'll take our drive. All right, fans, so here's the actual driving portion. So as we always do, I like to show you the rear view camera. It does have the dynamic grid lines, so you are able to kind of run over here and see it. The camera does sit a little bit lower, so I will say it took a little bit more getting used to where the camera is actually at. It just gives you a lower profile, lower point of view from the rear view camera position. So nothing big, just something to note. We're going to head into the driving. This does have 4 different modes. What are those modes? Normal, sport, mountain, and hold mode, which hold keeps you longer in the electric vehicle range. Mountain is for obviously driving up hills, not necessarily mountains. Sport gives you that sportier feel. Normal is just your standard driving. One thing I will note, absolutely fantastic noise reduction that Chevrolet has done. You don't hardly hear the outside world, and especially, which is when you're driving in a normal car, you have some of the engine noise to balance that. You don't have that with an electric vehicle such as this one. Just something to note, and I'll actually be quiet here for a second. Very quiet, very easy to use. So actually, I'm going to kind of show you guys something real quick. This is a little bit different. So I'm going to keep my foot off the brake. We're going down this hill. There's a little pad on the left. I'm just going to hold the pad. That actually is slowing me down right now. So you don't even have to use your feet if you don't want to. You can just use your feet for the gas pedal, and all you have to do is hold this, and you can see that the tires are now going there. So I'll press on the gas. It's now shifting it. It can go up to here, and then when I press the pedal, you can actually see it says regen. I'm not sure if you can get that, Dad. Regen power recovery right there when I less it, and then now it's on battery power. So that's what GM, I believe, and Chevrolet is calling the regen on demand, which is the controlling the amount of braking sent to the battery. For those of you that are wondering, what is our fuel economy? Well, with the battery, GM says you're supposed to be able to get 53 miles just on battery power depending on how much you use the regenerative braking, can actually be higher than that depending on how you drive, which is absolutely fantastic. That's a 25% increase from the previous model years. Once you do switch over to the gas engine slash generator, what are you able to get from there? You're actually able to get about 300, I guess it's about 320 miles, or I take that back, it's about 340 miles. You're able to average about 410 miles on one tank and charge worth for this vehicle, which is really absolutely fantastic and kind of otherworldly, in that you don't necessarily have to rely as a straight electric vehicle just on the battery pack. But if you're going around town, that's a great thing for you. And so real quick, we're going to kind of pull over here and we'll give you our opinion very quickly. Who is this vehicle for? And what is our opinion? Well, I guess our opinion, what do we like about this car? I love the electric capabilities of this car. I love the technology in it. It's a very futuristic slash modern car, which is absolutely, honestly, it's a breeze to drive. It feels great. Is it meant for a family of 4 or 5? You're going to have to be the judge. We would probably say no, it's a little too tight in the back seat for us, and you're not able to get as many people as maybe we would like to see in this segment, or for, I guess, other competitors that are just gasoline driven. But again, that's not necessarily what the car's for. What are the cons of it? I guess I don't know if we have a ton. If you're buying this car for the right purpose and the right reason, it's relatively affordable depending upon the tax credits in your area, and we're not going to get into all that. There are some available. It's dependent on a lot of different factors, so you need to be the judge of that. But GM quotes on their website as this car, the LT trim package, being available for $25,000 for a car, and they say in some instances you won't even fill up during a month. And we've actually even had friends and family who have driven these cars and who have actually said that they in fact have to let the battery drain down. That way they can get the gasoline through this car and it doesn't go bad, doesn't get too old. So something to be noticeable of. You can really cut back on your fuel expensive if that's something that you're, especially as the fuel market starts to go back up, that you can be conscious of. But overall, really a fan of this car. Again, who is this car for? A lot of city dwellers. If you do a lot of urban driving, this is the car for you. To and from work, under 50 miles a day. And actually, Chevrolet has a very nice feature on their website that tells you how much savings you'll actually make throughout the year if you do purchase a Volt, which is absolutely fantastic. A great, very nice feature in our opinion. So with that, if you want to learn more about this car, head to Chevrolet's website and also head to your local Chevrolet dealer. Take a test drive and tell them that John and Richard Rush from Drive Radio sent you.